Well, hello and welcome to this live City of Greeley telephone town hall meeting. Right now we're dialing out to tens of thousands of your neighbors for this live forum. And the City of Greeley wants you to know the facts about the West Greeley Project, Catalyst, and Cascadia. This is your opportunity to ask our experts your questions and address your concerns live during our West Greeley Project telephone town hall. Now, a lot of you registered for this forum through our web registration page, so thanks to those of you who have joined us a little early and who have registered for these teletown halls with the City of Greeley. A reminder here that if you have a question in mind, press 0. Again, thanks to those of you who are joining us, welcome to this live City of Greeley telephone town hall meeting. Right now we're dialing out to tens of thousands of your neighbors for a live forum. And the City of Greeley wants you to know the facts about the West Greeley Project, Catalyst, and Cascadia. This is your opportunity to ask our experts your questions and address your concerns live during our West Greeley Project telephone town hall. Many of you registered for this call tonight, and some of our web registrants have already submitted questions for the West Greeley Project Development Project. If you're just joining us tonight and you have questions about the West Greeley Project in mind already, press 0. Get your question to an operator. We'll be taking questions live throughout the forum. If you don't have a question yet, listen in as our expert guests update you on the West Greeley Development Project. Then you can press 0 as soon as you have a question for our Q&A tonight. Again, 0 to get a question into the queue. If you're not comfortable going live with your question, let your operator know if you prefer to have me read your question instead of taking you live. Whatever's more comfortable for you is good with us. We also want to keep you informed moving forward. If you'd like to get email updates from the City of Greeley on the issues that affect you as a Greeley resident, press 7 to get us your best email address so that we can keep you informed moving forward. So again, 0 for questions, 7 if you want to get email updates from the city. And again, we are just about to start this live forum with Greeley residents. If you're just joining us, we'll be discussing the West Greeley Project tonight, and you may have questions about why the City Council decided to pursue the project. You might have questions about how many jobs and how much revenue will be created with the West Greeley Project. You might be interested in how the project is being paid for, or what infrastructure is being upgraded as part of the West Greeley Project development. We'd love to take these sorts of questions, and we will hear from city experts on all of these aspects of the West Greeley Project, but we'll pause after each of our featured speakers to take your questions before moving on to the next topic. So a reminder here, press 0 to submit a question or a comment at any time during tonight's forum. We'll get you into the queue. You can ask your question live, or again, let your operator know if you want me to read your question instead of bringing you live onto the call. In either case, you press 0 to get that question to our operators. And again, if you want to get email updates moving forward from the city, press 7 on your phone now. Get your best email address into one of our operators so that we can keep you updated on the West Greeley Project and other projects going on around the City of Greeley. You can learn more about this project and stay engaged by visiting speakupgreeley.com. Again, the website where you can find out more about this project is speakupgreeley.com. And on the website, you'll find information about not only the Catalyst project, along with many other projects around the Greeley community. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our forum, but remember that if you want to independently research some of this information as we're going over it, you can visit speakupgreeley.com. 0 for questions, folks, 7 to give us your email address to get email updates, and we're going to go ahead and jump into a survey question here, and this is going to give you an opportunity to let us know which aspect of this project you're most interested in learning about. Again, we'll go over all of these topics, but you can help us prioritize our time tonight by letting us know which aspect of the project you want us to spend the most time on. So what are you most interested in learning about tonight in regards to the West Greeley Project? Press 1 if you're most interested in how and why the City Council made this decision. Press 2 if you're most interested in the project's potential, jobs, revenue, amenities. Press 3 if you want to hear most about how the project is being paid for. Press 4 if you want to hear about what infrastructure improvements are planned. And press 5 if you want to hear about what the petition would or what would not change in this project. So again, what are you most interested in learning about tonight? We'll cover all these topics, but you can help us prioritize the time we have. Press 1 if you want to hear most about how and why the City Council made this decision. Press 2 if you want to hear about the project's potential for jobs, revenue, and amenities. Press 3 if you want to hear about how the project's being paid for. Press 4 if you want to hear about what infrastructure improvements are planned. And press 5 if you want to hear what the petition would or would not change. Vote on that poll now. Thanks for everybody who's submitting questions. We already have thousands of people in our queue now who are listening on the line from around the city of Greeley. We've got some of you who are already submitting questions. Appreciate those. Again, we'll hear from each of our speakers. And then when we hear from each speaker, we'll take some questions from you folks in the audience for that speaker. So stay tuned. We'll cover all of the topics we just voted on. And then at the end of the forum, we'll take some more questions on topics outside of the West Greeley Project. So again, 0 for questions, 7 to give us your email address for updates. And let's go ahead and get started now. It's my pleasure to kick off our live forum by introducing our first topic, which is the council decision-making process and the role of the developer involved in this project. And for that, we're going to go to Dale Hall, our Mayor Pro Tem. Dale, go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I'm happy to have such an engaged community on this topic. Before we dive in, let me get to the heart of the matter. Moving forward with the West Greeley Project was a difficult decision, but it was the right one. I supported it because I believe Greeley needs quality economic development, and we must lead, not lag, our peers across northern Colorado. This project puts us in that leadership position. City Council, along with city staff, spent nearly a year fully vetting this proposal. We didn't make this decision in a vacuum. We brought the public along every step of the way. It was great to connect with business owners, neighborhood leaders, housing advocates, and youth sports organizations at the more than 25 meetings with local groups over the past year. More broadly, it was good to see many of you at the 5 public meetings where people asked the hard questions. And when we got a chance to really listen to your concerns, by the time this decision came before council, we were ready to vote following a thorough, transparent, and deliberate process. And after reviewing all the facts, City Council voted 5-2 to move forward because the project is funded through proven financial tools and not through new taxes. It followed the standard legal process and was approved by an ordinance. And while that's typical for projects like this, we went further, offering more public input than most initiatives ever see. This is exactly how representative government works. We listen, we learn, and we lead. We didn't take this decision lightly. I supported it because I believe this project is a smart investment in Greeley's future, and I stand by that decision. And with more than 4,000 callers on the line tonight, I know many of you still have many questions. Thank you.
Indeed, and we have lots of great questions lined up, so thank you again for opening up our discussion. Appreciate you being with us along with all of our featured speakers, and we're going to start with a question for you coming to us from one of our web registrants. This one comes to us from Jacob Hutt, and he registered for this call and has joined us on the line, so thank you to Jacob for our first question. He's asking, why wasn't a public vote required for this project? We've seen this question from a few of our callers and from our web registrants. Can you take on that concern for us, please, Dale?
Certainly. Just like many other Colorado cities, Greeley is using standard financial tools that may be approved by ordinance, not requiring a vote. An ordinance is a decision made by City Council that follows a public process. It's secure, transparent, and governed by state law. In Colorado, cities like Greeley can approve certain projects through a public process called an ordinance instead of a citywide vote. Greeley City Council passed ordinance number 15, 2025 on May 6th after months of public meetings and careful planning. Over the past year, the city and its partner held more than 25 meetings with local groups, including business owners, sports teams, housing advocates, and neighbors. 5 big community meetings to hear from the public educate, and improve the project based on that feedback. Regular City Council updates included opportunities for public input, and here's how you can stay involved. Attend upcoming City Council meetings and work sessions where this project is being discussed. Visit the city's booth at local community events. Follow projects updates on speakupgreeley.com. As the design and programming phase begins, we'll actively seek feedback to shape what the project includes and how it's implemented.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Dale. We've got one more web registrant question. This one's going to come to us from Pamela, and she's asking, what investment funds is Lind bringing to this project? How much skin does he have in the game? And I don't know if you want to give any background on the developer involved here, but if you could take that on for Pamela.
Okay, well, our developer is not funded by the Catalyst project directly, is not funding, let's put it that way, the Catalyst project directly with their own money. Instead, the city is using a fee developer model. This means the developer has been hired by the city to help manage the design and construction of the project, and they are paid a fee for that work. They are not an owner of the project and do not receive profits from Catalyst. The developer is paid based on completing certain phases of the work, just like a contractor is paid for building a road or school. Their job is to help deliver the project on time and on budget. Martin Lind, through Water Valley Company and affiliated companies, is making private investments in land, pre-development work, and surrounding infrastructure. That includes millions in upfront investments for land acquisitions and pre-development, full financial responsibility for the Cascadia residential and commercial developments, ownership and operation of the Colorado Eagles, the anchor tenant in the new arena, and the developer is not an owner or profit recipient of the city-led entertainment district. This structure ensures public control and benefit.
All right, and thank you all for everybody who has submitted questions on the remaining topics we have. We're going to move on to our next speaker, and we'll take some questions for them as well. And again, if you have a question for any of our speakers, press 0 to get into the queue. If you want to get email updates, press 7. We've got a few of you waiting to speak to an operator to get those email updates. Hang tight, we will get an operator with you shortly so we can get you those updates. Our next topic is going to be the vision, revenue potential, and development strategy. And this is going to be something we'll take to Raymond C. Lee, who's our Greeley City Manager. Raymond, can you take on the topic of the vision around the project, the revenue potential, and the city's development strategy, please?
Yes, thank you. And I really appreciate everyone joining in on this call this evening. 4,000 people really speaks to the magnitude of importance that this project means to the community, to this organization, to our elected leaders. So I really see that as an honor to be able to step in and actually talk about this project and the vision behind it. This vision started really 2 years ago, really focusing in on how do we want to see West Greeley grow as a whole. Typically, Greeley has grown block by block and not really looking at Greeley from the standpoint of a master plan. And a lot of the conversations that we've had with council and with different stakeholders in the community regarding growth out west is how can we be strategic? How can it be planned growth? How can we do it in a fashion that truly meets the needs of not only the current citizens of our community, but also the future needs of citizens that will be coming to our community? Tonight is a very important topic because this is a pivotal point in time for the future of this community and how we will develop as a community. This project really speaks to the essence of who we have been historically as a community. We have been pioneers. We have been individuals who have sought out opportunities to try to grow and expand who we are and where we are as a community as a whole. We hear all the time from residents about What are the amenities that we're offering? How are we attracting those amenities that we see in other communities as a whole? What are we creating and having in avenues for our community for people to spend their tax dollars here in our community and not spend those tax dollars in other areas? Those were some of the huge driving factors in looking at and evaluating a project like West Greeley and the Catalyst Project. It was really focusing in on how, as a community, can we provide amenities? How can we grow revenue and diversify our revenue as a community to support the growth that we're seeing in our community as a whole? Greeley right now is a community of 116,000 people. We will be over 250 to 260,000 people in the near future, and 450,000 people as a built-out community. How do we want that community to function? What amenities do we want to offer to have a complete and comprehensive community is the key things that we were really thinking about as a organization, as a leadership. We know the growth is coming. The question isn't whether Greeley will grow, it's how it will grow and what will be the purpose and the feeling and the perception of our community as a whole. We are growing in an intentional way, and we want to make sure that we continue to grow in an intentional way. This project, and as we talk about the revenue and how this project will grow overall, will bring in 2,400 local jobs during the construction and another 1,200 jobs, permanent jobs, when it's built. It will bring in new revenue to support our city services and improvements. When we look at our city as a whole, and when we have so many other just foundational projects happening, such as Civic Campus and looking at the downtown growth, these type of catalyst projects also add to our ability to be able to fund those type of projects as well. Starting in 2028, the project is expected to bring in more than $13 million a year in new revenue and more than $350 million by 2065, all which will be reinvested back in Greeley. This is the money that we use to support our road work, our parks, our police, our public services all across Greeley. Beyond the economic impact, it brings all kinds of family-friendly amenities and for our residents and things that I would love to be able to see my kids to be able to enjoy in this community as well. When we look at the ice arena, when we look at the restaurants, the retail, the entertainment, and the housing, it keeps local dollars here in Greeley instead of giving it away to our neighboring cities. And that's a key component of this project. In closing, I would say Greeley has the opportunity right now to shape its future. I always tell people who are in this organization and people in the community, this is a pivotal time to be in Greeley and to be making decisions regarding the future of Greeley. Most cities don't get this opportunity. Many struggle to attract the desired development that they want to see. We do not want to grow and develop as a city by happenstance. We want to make sure this growth is strategic, that it is planned for, and that it's the type of growth that will help support and make us a resilient city. We want to be thoughtful and strategic in everything that we do, and this is why we moved this project forward for conversation and discussion and decision-making with our city council. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raymond, and thank you for our next caller, who's going to be our first live question. We'll have Al on the line in a moment here, but I wanted to share the results of our poll. We asked you which aspect of this project is most interesting for you, and 40% of you said it was how the project's being paid for, which we're covering here, and we'll cover with our next speaker as well. 18% of you said it was how and why the City Council made this decision. 17% said it was the project's potential for jobs, revenue, and amenities. 14% said it was what infrastructure improvements are planned, and 11% said it was what the petition would or would not change. We'll have another survey for you in a little bit here, so hang around to vote in that. Next up, we have Al, who registered for this call and joined us tonight. Thank you so much for your patience here. Al, what's your question?
My question is, what is the liability that the city assumes by doing this project? Usually when you have something of this magnitude, there's some sort of a downside as well as upside. So far we've heard about the upsides, or at least potential upsides, but there's always a potential downside, and I don't see anything mentioned in any of the comments or anything in the literature as to what the city might absorb if this project doesn't actually fulfill its dream here. Where are we going with this in the long term if it actually just fails outright? I don't to the existing city of Greeley. I see it adding a section of Greeley that actually would be supporting Windsor school districts.
Thank you so much for that answer, that question. And I think we'll go back to Raymond for the answer here. Raymond, do you want to take on this concern for Al?
Yes, I will. You know, this project has its potential challenges or risks. One of those risks is the financial risk. While the city is not issuing any general obligation bond, it is backing some of the financing, which means there is a risk if revenues underperform. The city is establishing a fund for economic development payments, starting around $12 million a year through the first couple of years, and it starts to increase after that. If the project doesn't fund itself, the city doesn't receive those repayments back on that economic development payment. And that is the financial risk. And that's something that we would have to address through our general fund itself to make sure that we have the appropriate funds to be able to cover those economic development payments if the revenue for the project are not hitting those revenue projections that we have in our pro forma for this project. The organization will still be going through different sensitivity analysis, market study analysis to firm up the cost as is associated with this project to see if the economy supports where we are with this project from a financial standpoint. So these are constant things that we are evaluating internally as it relates to the financial risk of this project, but that is the biggest one. The money that we're setting aside for our economic development payments, if revenues do not come in as expected, we're not being reimbursed for those economic development payments. There's also concerns around traffic and environmental impact. A project of this size can create additional strain on roads and utilities and needs careful planning to avoid long-term impact. And that's another reason why we're looking at US 34 and County Road 17 interchange enhancements, because we already know currently there's traffic and congestion issues already there. The other kind of potential challenge there that you haven't heard a lot about, but we are monitoring, is the market uncertainty. The success of this project relies on the strength of the entertainment and tourism market as well. If interest declines or economic conditions change, the facility may not meet those financial expectations, which we have already developed within our economic development payments. And those are some of the kind of the financial things and market things and kind of those traffic environmental things that we're looking at as it relates to this project as potential challenges or risks to the project. And these are constant conversations we're having with our city council about how we mitigate some of these challenges as well, and how do we maneuver through some of the things that we're seeing from an economy standpoint even today. I've always described this project as a relay race, a 4x100 relay race. We've passed the first baton of this race, and now we're at that second stage of the evaluations and due diligence of this project. And the due diligence of this project is warranted to ensure that whatever decision council makes at the end of the day, that is an informed and knowledgeable decision regarding the future of this project.
Very much appreciate that, Raymond. And we'll be going to our third topic in a moment here. But while we've still got you with us here, Raymond, and again, we're hearing from Raymond Lee, our Greeley City Manager. We have one more question from you for you from one of our web registrants, Janice, who says, I'm really excited to have something new in Greeley and for the Eagles. When will the arena and water park be finished? Do you have a timeline for those two aspects of this project for Janice?
Yes, we do. The arena is expected to open in 2028, just in time for the Colorado Eagles to kick off their season in the new space. Other amenities, including the indoor water park and new ice sheets for the youth hockey are also planned to open up around that same time, bringing more opportunities for family fun activities and community recreation activities. So this is a tight timeline for this project. We're looking at a potential groundbreaking to happen in September as well. But once that happens, you will really see the ball rolling and opportunities open up as it relates to this project and the construction of this project very soon.
Perfect. Thank you again. Appreciate you, Raymond, and thank you to our two callers who submitted questions for him, Al and Janice. We almost have that collection queue clear, so thanks to everybody who's giving us their email addresses for updates. We'll keep you updated in the future. We've got 8 of you waiting to give us their emails. Press 7 if you want to get in that queue and give us your email address so we can keep you updated in the future. We're going to go to our next topic, and this is the one that got the most votes, 40% of our vote, in what our listeners are the most interested in hearing about tonight, and that'd be the costs and the funding mechanisms for the project. We're going to go to Alina Portis, our Deputy City Manager and Chief Financial Officer. Can you go over this topic for us, Alina, and then we'll go ahead and take some questions for you.
Yes, definitely. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little more about how this project is funded. I know the price tag sounds like a big number, and it is, but the city has taken a careful, layered approach to make sure this project is financially responsible and doesn't overextend us. The entertainment district, what we call Catalyst, is estimated to cost about $832 million. That includes the arena, 3 sheets of ice, the hotel, and indoor water park. In addition, we have estimated another $200 million for infrastructure. This includes roads, water, and transportation. These investments will benefit not only Catalyst, but the surrounding developments as well. It's important for me to note that the city is not funding this all at once. We are using a phased, diversified strategy that spreads out the financial responsibility and reduces risk. One of the tools we're using early in this process is certificates of participation, or COPs, what we call them. Something Greeley has used successfully for years to fund projects like new fire stations, City Center South, and the Boomerang Golf Course. All of this is done without raising taxes. We've heard concerns about leveraging existing city buildings as part of this financing, and that's true, but those assets are being used temporarily, and the COPs tied to them will be repaid in 2026. This is a short-term bridge strategy, not a long-term burden. We've also built in many layers of protection. We're phasing construction to make sure we don't overcommit too early. We're creating multiple streams of revenue like hotel taxes, naming rights, and fees on purchases within the district. And we're also setting aside reserve funds to help smooth out any bumps in the road. At every step, the city is focused on long-term financial health, not just the excitement of today. We're confident in the time-tested, responsible tools of public financing that will minimize risk as we proceed.
Thank you again, Alina, and appreciate that update. We did get the biggest aspect of the vote wanting to talk more about this. So we're going to take quite a few questions for you before we move on to our next speaker. And that will start with Marty in the Fox Hill area. Marty, welcome from Fox Hill. What's your question for us tonight?
Well, some of it has been answered already. Do you have any commitments for any of the commercial part of it from companies that want to participate and build?
And then you were asking about where the water will come from. Is that right?
Yes.
Got it. And then I think your final question was whether or not there had been any traffic study done or looked at the traffic implications. Does that sound like all of your questions?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Marty. If you could take those on for us, that'd be great, Alina.
So Paul's going to take that on. So thank you. Again, this is Paul Trubino, Managing Director with City of Greeley. So thank you, Marty, for the questions. In regards to water, this project's just like all projects that come into the city. The development has to bring water to the project. So that's how this will actually get the water comes from. And in addition, in regards to traffic implications and have they been thought out, that is something we're currently working on. We are actually working on the design, as the city manager mentioned before, for the intersection of Weld County Road 17 and 34. And so we're looking to put a series of improvements to really help transportation in this area and across the city. And then the last question, I think, was about commercial availability. Have there been outreach? We're right in the process right now of developing a marketing plan, not only with the developer, Water Valley Company, but also with the city, because there's really two components to that development that could be on the Catalyst side, future development on the Catalyst side, but also then in the Cascadia area that's owned by Water Valley. Thank you again for your question.
Very much appreciate that. Thank you for pitching in there. And we are going to go right to our next question. This is another one that we got from one of our web registrants. Unless, I'm sorry, Alina, did you have anything else to add there before we move on from Marty's question?
Alina
right,
may not, but I do.
Jumped on
I
in?
can kind of address some of the questions too. I know she had a question regarding, do we have anybody else committing? We're still at the early stages of this. We're still developing a business incentive agreement so we can look at how do we incentivize and help businesses come to this area. So those are still things that we're working on internally, and we'll be getting in front of our city council in the near future as it relates to how we are incentivizing and recruiting other businesses and retail to this area. And it's also a part of studies that we're doing as well, or retail studies, to actually outline kind of what is that missing gap for us from a retail standpoint and how we grow that overall.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate you weighing in there. Again, that's Raymond C. Lee, the third, our Greeley City Manager. We heard from Paul Trombino, our Managing Director of Public Works. And we'll get another question in here while we're on this topic coming to us from one of our web registrants. This is from Tiffany, who asks, what happens if the project fails? What does this mean for our city properties, staffing, and taxes? Alina, do you want to take that on, or does somebody else want to weigh in as well?
Sure, I'll take that one. So neither the Catalyst project property nor any other city property would go into foreclosure due to this project. The project is intentionally structured to diversify revenue sources in order to protect taxpayers and the city's assets. The city is not on the hook for repaying debt if the private elements don't perform as expected. So we do have several key safeguards that are in place. The city is not legally required to make bond payments. While the city has offered a non-binding moral obligation pledge, it's only used if necessary and only with city council approval. This project uses a 501c3 nonprofit structure with reserve funds in place and independent ownership, so liabilities don't sit on the city's balance sheet. Under the current structure, there are no new taxes being proposed. Only properties within the development will pay for infrastructure improvements, and that's through a general improvement district. Like all cities, we carefully manage our budget in response to economic conditions. This project is part of a long-term investment strategy to strengthen our local economy, create jobs, and enhance quality of life. Amenities like the Catalyst District help retain local talent, attract new employers, and grow the tax base. As for city staffing, staffing for the arena and related amenities will grow only as needed based on actual usage, and that protects long-term budgets and avoids unnecessary hires. Working with a master developer like Water Valley helps reduce burdens on city staff while bringing in proven expertise to guide complex development. Thank you for that question.
Perfect. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks to Tiffany, who submitted that question, one of our web registrants. We're going to go back to a live question now. I'm hoping one of our operators mentioned that Benjamin had a bit of a bad connection. Benjamin, do we have you there with us?
I'm here.
Hey there.
Hello?
Go ahead with your question.
Yes. Okay. This is my concern. My concern is that it's a private endeavor using taxpayer money. I understand that the city council voted to appropriate the money, but in my opinion, that anything that's being dealt with in a public use of taxes or public money should be used towards public access or public projects. And big concern. My big concern is the utilization of tax money and what is the percentage of money that's being used, regardless of going up.
All right. It sounds like we're losing you, Benjamin. And I'm going to read the rest of your question that you gave to our operator. You asked, what is pre-development and how much of taxpayer money is being used for that aspect of the project? And I think we're going to go back to our city manager, Raymond C. Lee, here to start out on this question. Again, just in case you weren't able to hear parts of Benjamin's question, he was asking what is the pre-development, how much of the taxpayer money is being used, and I think you probably heard a little bit more of his question about taxpayers paying for aspects of this project. If you could start in on that, Raymond, and feel free to welcome any of our other speakers in as well.
Yes, and just for a clarification point, this project is a City of Greeley project. It is not a private developer project. The assets of this project are owned by the City of Greeley. And I just want to make that clarification. We have hired a developer to execute on this development, but this is a City of Greeley project. As it relates to the pre-development funds associated with this project, this goes back to the previous question that was asked by, I believe, Tiffany, as it relates to the actual COPs that were issued for this project, which were $115 million, which council approved previously for us to be able to move forward our due diligence on this project as it relates to the design of the arena and the water park and the hotel, but also do some groundwork for some of the infrastructure work that has to be done out west, no matter what. If council doesn't move forward with the Cascadia and the Catalyst project as a whole, there is still infrastructure work that needs to be done out west overall. The timing of that project may vary from if we do it now or later, but we know it's inevitable that the city is going to have to do some water and sewer and road work in West Greeley. That design work and that initial logistics as it relates to the dirt work that we have to do out west is all in that $115 million that council authorized staff to move forward with doing that ordinance. Within that work, we do have drawdown schedules with different components of it, so we can come back and have conversations with the council as we reach certain milestones as it relates to the expense of those funds for that pre-development phase of the project. And hopefully that answers that question regarding how much money, $115 million, and what those funds are being used to do.
Yeah, and you may have answered our next question here, but I'll go ahead and pose it for you, Raymond, and for the rest of our speakers as well. So because our callers have asked us to really focus on the costs associated with this project, we've got some folks who are asking, how much will this project really cost? And so various versions of that from both our live listening audience and from our web registrants asking, how much will the total cost of this be? And so I'm wondering, Alina, do you want to start in on this? And I'll obviously welcome the rest of our speakers as well.
And I can start in and let Alina jump in. Right now, when we look at the cost of the Catalyst Entertainment District, that is the arena itself, the 3 sheets of hockey, the hotel, and the water park, that is $832 million projected today. When we look at the infrastructure, there's additional money through the General Improvement District, which the council will sit as the governing body board of that, will issue debt for the infrastructure that is in that area as well. So that gets us to this 1.1 roughly $1 billion number that people are using, and we as an organization have used as the cost of this project in its totality. Now that may vary as market changes and as different things happen. That may change the cost of the project, but we truly feel that is the max value that this project will cost. But we'll still be evaluating that as we get closer to final design status of the arena, the hotel and water park as well. But I will let Alina add any necessary information that she has from her end to that response as well.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's important to remember that this project is being financed through the 501c3 and through the General Improvement District. So as you mentioned, the $832 million is for the Entertainment District. That is actually going to be financed by the 501c3. They're going to issue bonds, and then they're going to pay the debt service. And the way that they're paying debt service is through the net operating income, which is basically the revenue generated by the project, less all of the expenditures for the project. So it's not that the city is going to be paying the debt service. The 501c3 will be paying the debt service, while the city contributes the economic development payment on an annual basis, which was mentioned earlier. The additional $200 million is going to be funded not through the city's general fund. It's actually going to be funded through the General Improvement District when it comes to public infrastructure. And as mentioned earlier, the General Improvement District will have a special fee, and they will also have a mill levy, but it's only going to be attributable to the properties that are within that General Improvement District and not to existing property owners within the city. Again, as far as the revenue that's going to be generated from the development, it'll include hotel stays, ticket sales, and retail purchases. So as far as the payment for the debt service, it's not coming from any new taxes from Greeley residents other than those that are in the development itself.
Great information. Thanks to both of you. Thanks for everybody who asked about the total cost of the project. We'll move on to our fourth topic. We have two more speakers, and we'll take questions for each of them. And then if we have any time at the end, we'll take some more of your questions. So we want to get to as many questions as possible tonight. But we did just clear that queue of those of you who are waiting to give us your email address to get updates on this project and other things happening around Greeley. So if you wanted to get those email updates, press 7 here and speak to an operator. Remember, you can also learn more about this project at speakupgreeley.com/catalyst. And if you missed that website, press 7, speak to an operator, and get it from them. Let's go ahead and go to our fourth speaker. The next topic is going to be the petition, some education on the petition, the implications of the petition. We're going to go to our Communication Engagement Director, Renona Irwankwe. Renona, what can you tell us about that petition and its implications?
Thanks, Ian. And Ian, just thanks for being such a really great moderator for us tonight. And thank you to everyone that has hung with us so far. Again, this is Winna Irwankwe, Director of Communication and Engagement. First and foremost, I'm just glad to have so many of you participating here in local government. I know folks have strong feelings on both sides about this project. And so I just want to reiterate that we value the public dialogue and sharing your thoughts both with us as a city and with one another in the community. Just wanted to touch briefly on the petition that is currently circulating. We've gotten some questions come in from the community about some of the information that is out there. So first and foremost, people do have the right to petition, and we support that right. But at the same time, we want to make sure that folks have the right information in terms of what that petition will and will not do. First and foremost, the petition is an initiative, not a referendum. I just want to note that that is an important difference. Unlike a referendum, a pending petition would not and does not pause the project. Most importantly, also cannot undo any contracts or legal agreements that are already in place. This project was approved through the same process that the city uses for many past projects. So we're looking at public meetings, public comment, due diligence on the council's part to research the issue and really vet it, and finally goes to a vote before council. So just wanted to reiterate that this was within the normal bounds and process in terms of how the project was approved. Again, we've heard differing ideas about how the petition will impact the project, so we just want to be clear that if the petition does land on the ballot this fall and passes, it will not change those legally binding agreements already in place. Finally, this is by no means an endorsement or deterrent for sending the petition, but we, as with any ballot measure, want to make sure that Greeley voters are informed of what would or would not happen and how that might play out.
Thank you so much, Winna. we're going to go to our first caller for you. And a quick reminder here, folks, if you got a late question, press 0, press 7 to get email updates, and we'll have one more survey question for you before the end. For now, we're going to go live to Mike in Lake Arrowhead. Mike, thank you for waiting. What's your question? Mike, do we have you there on the line? All right, let me go ahead and read this for Mike again from Lake Arrowhead, asking, would it be possible to get a quick overview of what the project encompasses? What is the best way to get myself up to speed on current projects? And I'll turn that over to you, and if you can give Mike a good idea of where he can maybe an overview of the project and where he can stay informed.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Mike. The best place right now to get a full overview of that project is our Speak Up Greeley page. We have worked to get as much information on there as possible in terms of the project overview, what it encompasses, some of the FAQs that you've heard here tonight, but also questions that we've been hearing from the community, a real deep dive into the funding mechanisms and how those pieces fit together. So all of that, the best place to find that information is speakupgreeley.com. We also have some folks here on the call taking email addresses. If you want to press 7 and provide your email addresses, we will be sending out a special edition City Scoop newsletter with all of the information, but that will also help you get on our mailing list for ongoing newsletters. And then finally, any of the folks on this call here, if you want to send us an email, if you've got questions for any of us, we'd be happy to address those and connect you with other subject matter experts that might have some answers to your questions.
Thank you so much, Winna, and thank you again, everybody who is, that helped a lot. A lot of more folks are giving us their email. Appreciate that, folks. Again, 7 if you want to get updates from the city. We're going to go to our next subject next, but we have another survey question for you before we go to our Managing Director of Public Works, Paul Trombino. Our next question for you is this. Now that you've heard some more about this project, what aspect of it excites you the most? So what about the Catalyst project are you most interested in? Press 1 if it's a hockey hub for Northern Colorado, supporting youth hockey and a new home for the Colorado Eagles. Press 2 if it's a fun year-round spaces for families and friends to enjoy together inside and outside. Press 3 if it's a lively destination that brings people together and celebrates Greeley. Press 4 if it's more opportunities for new jobs and local businesses. And press 5 if it's a transportation hub that connects Greeley to its surrounding communities. So again, what aspect of the Catalyst project is most exciting for you? Press 1 if it's that it's going to be a hockey hub for Northern Colorado, supporting youth hockey and, of course, the Colorado Eagles. Press 2 if it's that it'll be a fun year-round space for families and friends to enjoy together, both inside and outside. Press 3 if you like that it's a lively destination that brings people together and celebrates Greeley. Press 4 if it's that more opportunities for new jobs and local businesses will come from this project. And press 5 if it's that you're excited that a transportation hub will be connecting Greeley to its surrounding communities. Go ahead and vote now. We just appreciate your feedback for those of you who are voting in our polls, and thank you. That'll be our last one of the evening. We are going to go to our next presenter next here, though, and then we'll take some more questions before we get to the end. We want to talk project scope and infrastructure next, and we also heard from Paul a little bit earlier answering one of our questions. We're going to Paul Trombino, Managing Director of Public Works. What can you tell us about the scope and how this will improve infrastructure?
Thank you, Ian, very much. Again, I think as everyone sees in the city, growth is coming, which means infrastructure is needed with or without this project. Rather than scrambling to keep up with infrastructure, Catalyst gives us an opportunity to plan ahead now, build smart at a lower cost in today's dollars. And I think there's been quite a bit of discussion on this, but we will use revenue generating district to help fund that infrastructure, which essentially means development pays for it. It is important to understand the difference also between Catalyst and Cascadia. Catalyst is the city-owned entertainment district, which includes the arena, the future home of the Colorado Eagles, 3 ice sheets, a hotel, and an indoor water park. Cascadia is a private development mixed-use community by the Water Valley Company. It's one piece of a much larger development area in West Greeley, and it is this 22 square mile development that we are supporting with infrastructure. The funding model used to build the infrastructure is, as we mentioned, is called a General Improvement District, or a GID. This is a common tool in local government that is designed to have the district support itself without placing any tax burden on the rest of the City of Greeley.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being with us here tonight as well, Paul. And we're going to get our first question to you from one of our web registrants who asks, this is from Robert E., who asks, who decides what businesses go into Cascadia and Catalyst, and who owns the land and buildings? That one's from Robert E., one of our registrants for this call.
So thank you, Robert, for that question. Land use decisions are made through the Greeley's Plan Unit Development Process, or what we commonly call PUD, with ultimate final say by City Council. This ensures that all new development aligns with the community values and adopted standards for design, access, and quality of life. As for ownership, as we've talked about before, the arena, ice center, water park, and hotel will be owned by the 501c3 nonprofit during the financing term. Once bonds are repaid, ownership reverts to the city. Land next to the Catalyst project is owned by the city and is reserved for future development that complements the district. City land remains public unless explicitly conveyed through a council-approved agreement. Cascadia is the private residential and commercial area owned by the Water Valley Company. So thank you.
Thank you again, Paul. And we'll go to, we got a couple of live questions lined up for you here. We're going to take our first one coming from Hollis in Weber West. Hollis, thank you for waiting. What's your question for us?
Yes, my question is, where exactly is the Greeley West Project going to be located? And exactly how far will it be from that junkyard or salvage yard that sits east of County Road 17 and north of Highway 34?
All right. Appreciate you, Hollis. Thanks so much. Paul, are you good to take this one on from Hollis?
Yes, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Hollis, for the question. So again, the easiest way I think to describe the project is starting at US Highway 34 and 17. That's sort of that cross section. It's a lot of where the infrastructure improvements from transportation side that we're focused on. And then from there, if you go about a mile to the east, that is about the main spot to the north of the Catalyst site. All of the property then to the west of there is really part of Cascadia. So the project itself, if you've ever driven along US 34, I always like to say, you'll see a quick entrance, and that's actually the city's pump house, one of our main pump houses that supplies water throughout the community, and that is the exact, what I would call the real exact location of the Catalyst site, where the arena, the hotel, and the indoor water park will be located.
All right. Thank you, Paul. We've got another one coming in for you here, and then we'll read the results of the poll that we ran a moment ago. This one's going to come to us from Tyler, who's asking, will there be free public areas there? Is it all going to be private, or will you have to pay to get in? And where are the profits for this development going? And that's from Tyler, who lives on 24th Street. Paul, you going to take that, and let me know if you need me to repeat any part of it.
Yeah, so I'll start with the first part. If there's somebody who wants to jump in on the bottom half, I think maybe Elena has talked about this already. But yes, there will be public areas. It's a key component of really what we're doing in the Catalyst site. There'll be a large plaza constructed, really a place to come in the city that will have food and beverage, potential retail in the future, that kind of runs between the arena, the hotel, and the water park. Great views as a whole also. And then in addition, we always want to make sure that as the arena, especially in the water park, will have access for residents of the city, we also want to make sure that there are times and for that access, especially even if you're thinking of the arena and the 3 sheets of ice, and that will all be operated between the 501(c)(3) and the city as they engage with an operator to help us really do that. But public access is a key ingredient, and public transportation is also a key ingredient to make sure that everybody has easy, quick access to the site across the city.
Okay, and I'll answer the question in regards to profits. So remember, the owner of the facilities is going to be a nonprofit. All of the funds that will be what we considered excess cash flow, meaning after paying all of the operational costs, after paying debt service, and after filling like capital refresh reserves, certain reserves to be able to keep the facility in good shape, all of the funds will come to the city. That will come to the city to repay us for our economic development payments and for municipal services for that area. And if there's any excess cash after that, that's coming to the city to be able to assist us in paying for other services that the city has for the entire city.
All right. Thank you again. Really appreciate that. Taking on that question coming to us from Tyler. We've got time for one more question here. Patricia, just to save some time, I'm going to go ahead and read it for you from West Greeley. You're asking, how does the City Council believe that this sports complex will be successful when the Legends Complex and Blue Arena have not been successful? So that one's from Patricia in West Greeley, and I'm wondering if we can go back to our city manager, Raymond Lee, for the answer to this question.
Thank you. You know, when we look at the success of any project, we have really looked at all the arenas in the area. And just for one clarification point, Blue Arena actually has been successful. It actually has been generating a profit from the standpoint of what they've been able to generate from a revenue standpoint. And they're looking to grow that as an arena as well. And when we looked at this project overall and how we evaluated this project, wasn't just on the arena itself. The arena is a major component of it, but you also have to look at those 3 additional sheets of youth hockey and our ability to be able to bring in tournaments, bring in training camps and things of that sort to truly help to support the arena overall. On top of that, looking at the operator of that arena is going to be a key component of it. Operators are going to be the major tool for us to see what concerts and what other entertainment ventures can we truly get at this arena. But the other component of this whole Catalyst project that really we look at this as a kind of a twin tower kind of complex is the water park and the hotel. Those are the components of it that really help show us from a performance standpoint of the revenue that is going to be generated to make this project successful overall. We're still evaluating our market studies. We're still doing market studies as well in sensitivity analysis to ensure that whatever we move forward and whatever we present to the City Council, it has the support and the recommendation of city staff that it is financially feasible for us to be able to move this project forward.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Raymond, and appreciate everybody who's spent the last hour with us. If you didn't get a chance to give us your email address, stay on the line at the end here. You'll have an opportunity to leave a voicemail message. And if you want to leave a voicemail message, feel free, if you need the city to get back to you, to leave your name and some contact information. You'll be able to do that just by staying on the line at the end of the call. For now, though, I want to read the results of our second poll, and then we're going to get a little bit of feedback on if this helped you understand the project more clearly. So we asked you what's most exciting about the project. 31% of you said that it was fun, year-round spaces for families and friends to enjoy together that was the most exciting. I'm sure that indoor water park was probably a big part of that. Let's see, 23% said more opportunities for new jobs and local businesses. We had 21% said that it was a lively destination that brings people together and celebrates Greeley. 13% apiece are excited about it being a hockey hub for northern Colorado and a transportation hub that connects Greeley to surrounding communities. And now our last question for you is this. Did this town hall help you understand the West Greeley Project more clearly? Press 1 for yes and 2 for no. Again, did this town hall that we've held tonight help you understand the West Greeley Project more clearly? Press 1 for yes and 2 for no. And as you're voting in that last poll, I'll remind you can stay on at the end, leave us a message, especially if you didn't get a chance to give us your email address for updates. You can stay on the line at the end, leave that message with your best email address, as well as your name if you wouldn't mind, so we make sure we know who we're sending that email update to. And I want to thank everybody for participating in this evening's town hall. A reminder here that you can stay updated on this project by visiting speakupgreeley.com/catalyst. Again, speakupgreeley.com/catalyst. And of course, I want to thank all of our featured presenters who joined us tonight. We heard from Dale Hall, the Greeley Mayor Pro Tem. We heard from Raymond Seeley III, Greeley City Manager. We heard from Alita Portis, the Deputy City Manager and Chief Financial Officer. We heard from Wina Ironkwe, Communication and Engagement Director, Paul Trombino, the Managing Director of Public Works. So thanks to each of them for presenting information tonight and taking on your questions. Stay on the line to leave those voicemail messages, and otherwise be sure to visit that website, again, speakupgreeley.com/catalyst to learn more. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. Be well.